prevalence of domestic violence in Nigeria may be described as an epidemic. To address this scourge, several pieces of legislation have been enacted in the past decade at state and federal levels. Today, we will be evaluating the domestic violence protection laws and determining how effective they have been in the prevention of domestic violence against women, punishment for perpetrators as deterrent from further incidents, compensation of victims, and providing them with the necessary interventions for their rehabilitation. Hello and welcome to Break It Down, where we make matters of policies, societal issues, governance and development easily understood by all. Today we are looking at how effective the various domestic violence protection laws are in protecting women in Nigeria. And my guest today is the very dynamic, I'm so excited, Barrister Esther Uzoma. She is the National Coordinator of the Proactive Gender Initiatives, PGI. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
We just had 16 days of gender activism.
Yeah.
Why 16 days?
Well, that's an international standard. 16 days also is impactful. So a week and some. So the whole idea is to ensure that so much is put into this period, that it actually gets across to the consciousness of people.
So let's break down what domestic violence is.
Fantastic.
What is domestic violence?
Now, when we talk about domestic violence, we are looking at violence that occurs in the domestic setting, occurs in families, sometimes in the workplace, sometimes in churches. And so this type of violence, gender-based violence, that is the violence meted out on persons because of their gender, that occurs in the domestic place. Why are we bringing it to the fore? We're bringing it to the fore because sometimes it is overlooked, but it is very, very critical because it forms people's character.
Okay, when we say violence, what exactly do we mean by violence?
Yes. Violence is any unwanted use of force. Unwanted. Because there are things you might consider to be violence and then somebody else doesn't think it is violence. So it's any unwanted use of force. Physical, psychological, emotional. And this unwanted use of force already is criminalized under our laws. There are laws that specify what violence is. For instance, stalking is a form of violence. Just when you are following somebody about, go to the supermarket to see the same person, filling station the same person, market the same person, club the same person. It's stalking. So that is a form of violence. Trolling, aggressive form of trolling like internet and all that, it's a form of violence. Using prohibited substances on people like pepper spray, it's a form of violence.
Pepper spray.
That's right. It's a form of violence. So it goes on and on and on.
What if the person is the aggressor?
Well,
if somebody is stalking me, for example, I see the person everywhere. One day I'm angry and I use the pepper spray.
Well, you have to justify it because the person who is stalking you did not use any other thing besides stalking. So what will warrant pepper spray? It is when the person who is stalking you uses a substance that the law will now say, okay, you are justified in also. However, if you are being stalked in such a way that you are under a reasonable apprehension that you might be exposed to danger, the law might also exonerate you.
Okay, what about cases that we have seen of children being abused by their caregivers?
Yes, the Child Rights Act.
Is that domestic violence too?
Yes, that's a form of domestic violence, but it's a special genre of domestic violence. The law also provides for the Child Rights Act. When we grew up, our parents they corrected us with bulala, punishment. But children of these days, you have to talk to them.
Okay.
The era of spare the rod and spoil the child, using koboko. When you go out later, you come back, you know that today not today. That has all changed. Now children respond more to what you say and what you do. And so you find, for a child in the 70s who was corrected with bulala and didn't see it as hate, if you correct a child of today with that same bulala, that child will say, listen, this auntie hates me, this mommy hates me, these people are not my parents. And so times...
I'm being abused.
So times are changing. The law is also coming up to meet changing times.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's look at the various laws. There are so many laws against gender abuse, domestic violence, and all that. You just mentioned the Child Rights Act.
Yes.
We have the VAP and so many other laws. Can you put us through these different laws and why there are so many?
This is very, very nice. And so let's break it down. There are laws that criminalize conduct in Nigeria. In the north, it's called the Penal Code. In the south, it's called the Criminal Code. That's on one hand. All right. Now, there are also laws that make special provisions, to meet evolving human conduct. That is the VAP Act you mentioned, is one of them. The Child Rights Act is one of them. And of course, the 1999 Constitution. All right. Now, the difference is this. The VAP Act, there are actions, there are things that people do today that were inconceivable in the time when the Penal Code was drafted. All right. For instance, under the VAP Act, rape is said to have been committed, it's a crime that can be committed against a man or a woman. But under the Penal Code or Criminal Code, a man cannot be raped. You see. But the VAP Act is saying, no, you can rape a man, no. You see. So it is more dynamic. It is more real. It's not an old law. Under the VAP Act too, spousal rape can be committed. Tell me, I'm sure it was unimaginable rather, for our forefathers to think that a time will come, they will be guilty of raping their wives, you see? So issues also, and rape under the VAP Act can be done, with any object. It's no longer penal vaginal contact. It can be done with any object, stone, plantain, stick, or by insertion in any hole in the body. It seems, because there are people who find sexual gratification by just doing any something. So that is a more dynamic law. So these laws make special provision, penalize and criminalize conduct, meeting the dynamism of today's world. So these are some of the laws.
So let's look at this VAP Act again. There are a lot of people who argue with you that a man cannot rape his wife. For example, traditionalists.
Well, those are
there are still others that will say a man cannot. How can a man rape? How can this be? When you go to court, how can you prove it?
Well, once there is lack of consent, the line is crossed once the woman says no. No means no. She's your wife, she's not your property. Under the common law, however, before the VAP Act, a woman was actually considered the property of the husband. Under the common law, it was inconceivable. A woman has no voice. She was a chattel. In fact, under the common law, she was considered as lacking mental capacity. Therefore, she could not enter into contracts. That was the common law. All right? But these laws are coming. So listen, a woman is a human being. She's your wife, she's your partner, she's your helpmate. She's not your slave. So spousal rape is real. If she says no, it's that part of dignity that inures to the human being. No means no. All you have to do as a husband is to do what? I beg now, darling, please. But not force. It's criminalized conduct.
For the purpose of breaking it down, when you say chattel, a woman is not a chattel.
No, a woman is not a chattel. Under the common law, she was.
In our own normal language, that's
Oh, chattel means goods.
Okay.
Under common law, a woman was considered goods, property of the husband. That was why the mayor of Casterbridge actually auctioned his wife for 500 guineas. He said he brought her and said, listen, who is going to buy? And somebody bought her. All right, so that was the common law, but times have changed.
Yeah, and the VAP Act seems to supersede the others because it's the latest.
It's a later legislation.
It's the latest one.
Yes.
But not all states have domesticated that act. Why do you think this is the case, especially in the north? That's right. And even in the south, only 12 states.
It's a bitter pill to swallow. You know, some men think, erroneously too, that women want to be men. Why would a woman want to be a man? It's tough being a man. There's so much that society expects from a man. There's so much responsibility. All right, so, but one way I'm saying is this. It makes smart economics. You know, if you are moving on, the woman is complementary. How can a bird fly with one wing? Let your wings so that you can fly. The role of the failure to pass the VAP Act is perhaps anchored on that fear of, oh, women will take over. Oh, women will be in power. And look at the definition of rape. All right, people still practice child marriage. And people who marry children, they're not eager to set the age of marriage at 18. So these are some of their fears, and we are constantly allaying those fears. Do not think of, think of that girl as your daughter that you want the best for. If you look at the VAP Act through the eyes of your daughter, you will hasten to pass it as a lawmaker.
So what it means now is that the women in those states are still subject to the penal code and those other older laws.
Yes, they are, unfortunately. There's been a lot of agitation, advocacy. We're not done yet. We're not there, but we're trying. The Honorable Minister for Women Affairs has done extremely well in trying to raise consciousness, carry wives of governors along, raising consciousness of the need to actually pass these laws so that women can have better lives. Maternal mortality, VVF, all the things that plague women because of early marriage, can be avoided.
Okay, we'll take a break now. When we come back, I think we'll still talk about the VAP Act and the First Ladies championing the cause. We'll be back. So we're still talking the VAP Act, and you just educated us on the fact that the Minister of Women Affairs is going through the First Ladies. How effective will this be when you also have First Ladies who wear themselves child rights?
Wow. Well, in these 16 days of activism, she had a huge outing. The Honorable Minister of Women Affairs. All the First Ladies were in the house. Everywhere was oranged, and then particularly they agreed, they came up with a lot of resolution, chief among which is how are we going to pass these laws in our various states. The strength of a woman is the strength that comes from behind. The strength of a woman is the strength that is non-aggressive. The strength of a woman is the strength that just envelops you, and so they are using that gradually. The Kebbi State governor's wife was talking about how, she was engaging the Council of Ulamas, the highest, decision-making body in their religion. Just gradually, how do we come in? How can we pass this law? And so the light is coming in, gradually. It's happening. It's happening, it's gradual, but it's happening.
And we know that women and girls are more vulnerable. A lot of them have been kidnapped, a lot of them have been taken into the forest, and all of that. How do you think those women and girls in those areas can be better protected?
We just have to get it right. I was in Maiduguri, we were gathering data. preparing our class action sheet. The structure of security, we have presently is not working. And for the woman, she was vulnerable before when there was security. That vulnerability is much more heightened in an atmosphere of insecurity. There is always something to be gained from a woman. She always has something to lose. The woman, the girl child, always. Think about it. Amidst all that crisis in Medjugorje, people were finding time to rape. You would think that, it's existential, people run away. No! They were looking for young girls to rape, to maim. So amidst all that, while the girl child, while the woman is running away for her life, she's also trying not to be molested, particularly from the persons who pretend to be her caregivers. And so you see a total collapse. For the woman, of course, it's twice the trouble. There's always something that somebody wants from her. So she's thinking about her life. She's thinking about how to preserve her body. The growing insecurity. Let me tell you, the next generation of Nigerian females, particularly the ones who survive this crisis, we need to pay attention to them. Great attention. Because if somehow they end up in our homes as our sisters-in-law, my son's wife, with all that experience and trauma bottled up somewhere inside.
So what do you think can be done?
The government needs to pay attention.
Post-traumatic
exactly.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
That's why we're seeing a lot of the increase of women who kill their spouses is on the rise now. The government needs to pay attention, because the future is still female. They're still the ones with the responsibility of propagating the species. Care must be given to them.
So there must be a victim rehabilitation kind of orientation.
There has to be. Our social welfare system, we need to rejig it. What kind of experts do we have? Who does a woman talk to? Who does a girl child talk to? Who does a young female talk to? Must she talk to somebody on the internet? So these things, because human beings, that's how the society functions. If we have better girls, we'll have happy mothers, and then we'll have happy children. Is that also? That is it. Attention. We must have a victim rehabilitation scheme.
Okay. We have that happening where there's insecurity. What about where there's no insecurity and there's still so much rape, so much violence against women, and largely these men get away with it? Or these men and some women, because women also abuse women, they get away with it. And we're talking about the sexual offenders register. What's stopping the implementation of that?
Yes, Professor Ndoli, when she was in NAPTIP, did launch that in conjunction with the Minister of Women Affairs. The register is up and running. However, persons who get on the register are persons who have been convicted. And you know how slow our criminal justice system is. So until final conviction, people can get on the register. But that's happening on one hand. But the increase in abuse, there are a lot of factors responsible for that. Let's take the sale of aphrodisiacs. Aphrodisiacs in this country is an unregulated trade. Everybody is selling aphrodisiacs. Filling station, gardens, parks, everywhere it is freely peddled. And there is no limit as to age. Children take aphrodisiacs and they lose their mind. Look at the sex industry that you have that's thriving. Somebody is always enlarging body parts, making it bigger, making it bouncier, all sorts of things that people advertise. Unregulated sector. And this is a sector that incenses particularly young users to various devious behaviors. And so we see an explosion on rape. So we have a criminal justice system that is utterly burdened with crime, being much more burdened with sexual crimes.
Let's look at the register again. Why is it important?
That sexual offenders register is so important because it's a huge deterrent. People do not like their names being associated with crime. People don't like their names, because forever that thing enters the National Archives, So what happens is that 100 years from now, your great-grandchildren will see who was convicted of rape or a sexual offense. And so it's a very huge deterrent. People don't want their names to be there. So when you name and shame, others will say, I don't want my name to be there. So that's one of, and then another factor is this. It helps in data collection. So that we can know whether the man who raped somebody in Nyanya is the same person raping somebody in Lagos. Because biometrics are collected. So let's even know how many rapists are even in this particular community. If they are looking for a job, how do we even say, oh, don't give this person employment, he's been convicted of a sexual offense and all that and all that.
Okay, let's look at your own program that I attended not too long ago, Walking in Her Shoes. Tell us about Walking in Her Shoes.
Well, we got some male champions to walk in high heel shoes.
That was hilarious.
We wanted them to feel what women feel. When you see a woman, very delicately dressed, she's doing carrying out the fine art of balancing, she's pounding yam, she's nursing a baby, she's making the bedroom beautiful. Let me tell you, she's always under intense pressure, but she smiles through it all. And so we afforded male champions the opportunity to feel what your woman feels. Look at how easy or difficult it is for her to get through the day and still be beautiful for you. And so we encourage them. Buy her chocolate, buy her a rose, serenade her, feel her pain. Yeah,
that's awesome. Feel her pain.
Yeah,
right now, as you're watching, please walk in your wife's shoes.
That's right.
Just pick that high heel and walk in it and see how easy it is.
That's correct.
Yes, let's go back to victims and how they can report the offense of domestic violence or sexual abuse.
All right.
Let's take it step by step for the benefit of those watching.
Yes. First of all, we offer pro bono services for victims of, domestic assault, rape, and all that. And so whenever it happens, there's a protocol. First, go to the nearest police station. Do not wash. Get somebody to accompany you to the nearest police station. Give your statement. The police now will take you to a medical doctor. And above all, when you are at the nearest police station, do well to contact us. We'll come and stand with you.
Your contact, please.
All right. 080-370-40485.
Okay.
Very well.
I hope you got that. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Barrister, for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Thanks a lot. We've had Barrister Esther Uzoma she's the National Coordinator of the Proactive Gender Initiatives, PGI. You're doing so much for women. You're doing so much for Nigeria. You're doing so much for the society.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching the show today. We'll be back same time next week. This is Break It Down.